Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host. And today on the show, we have Eric Hemati, CEO and founder of Hemati Insurance Agency, as my guest. We're going to learn all about his journey to business ownership, best practices he's learned along the way, and maybe some challenges that he's faced as well. And so you are in for a real treat today because if you love to learn about businesses and the journey to business ownership, this show is for you. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Well, welcome, Eric. It is so nice to have you here on the show today.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, let's dive right in. Give us a brief about yourself and your business.
So my name is Eric Hemati. I got into the insurance. I'm in the insurance business. So we do life insurance, health, 401, well, not 401ks, but like annuities, anything that's non-investment related on the insurance side. We don't insure things like not car insurance or homeowners insurance, but we insure people, right?
Hmm.
But I got my insurance license back in 2003. So 21 years now.
Hmm.
And I never thought, it's so funny. When I was growing up, I never thought, oh, I want to grow up and be an insurance man. It's kind of one of those things. I don't know how many insurance people you've interviewed on the podcast, but 99% of the time, the stories I hear are, I got into this industry completely by accident, and that was definitely true for me. So, I had a sales background, but I had a good friend of mine who um, had done the same job that I had done in college, and he was starting up a business in Houston, an insurance agency, but he was very vague about what he was doing, because he's wanted to recruit me. And if I don't know if any of your listeners have ever been pitched a business idea by a friend, I literally was like, well, hey man, this isn't some pyramid or anything, right? And he, no, 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 it's legit. Let me buy you some breakfast and I'll tell you about it. And back then, I mean, we had one carrier we were working with, and we were selling cancer insurance,
Mm.
cancer and heart and accident insurance. This kind of insurance that would pay you, not the doctor, but it would pay you.
Okay.
Um, because when people go through that kind of thing, a lot of times they can't work. They need help paying for travel, for hotel bills, for treatments that may not be covered under their insurance. They may need help paying their mortgage, whatever. And so I didn't really know anybody that had gone through cancer or heart problems or anything like that, though. I was 27 at the time. And so I just really wasn't really, it didn't really hit me, and I wasn't super interested, to be honest with you. And when I asked him how we were going to sell it, I said, well, what's your marketing plan? How are you going to market this product? And the job that both of us had had in college was we had gone door to door in the summertime selling educational books, study
Hmm.
guides, things like that to kids that were to parents of kids that were, had school age kids, and straight commission. We'd both done really well, but that's like a really hard job. So again, like some of your viewers may have door to door experience in their past. And
Hmm.
and I told him, I said, man, listen, I've knocked on my last door. I swore I would never knock on doors again ever. And I promised, like if I was ever going to break that promise, the number one thing I was sure not sell would be insurance. Like I just can't imagine something more cringy than knocking on somebody's door saying, "Hey, I'm here to sell you some insurance." And so I blew him off, and
Hmm.
with respect, but I was like, "That's not for me." And a few months later, my next door neighbor, this couple, Dave and Kristen, lived right next door to my wife and I in this high rise downtown in Houston, and literally, like you walked out our door, and they were like our next door neighbor, really good friends. She got diagnosed with breast cancer at 24 out of
Hmm.
nowhere. No family history, no nothing. She was a teacher. He was a software sales guy. They both had really good jobs, corporate insurance. But within I won't say a few weeks. I mean, she used up all her 6 days. She had lost her job because they couldn't keep her on payroll. She wasn't able to show up to work, and so she lost her insurance. And then they started having copays and deductibles because they weren't double covered anymore, and then they ended
Hmm.
up having to move out of their apartment. They had to sell a car. I mean, it's all this stuff.
Hmm.
And within like 4 or 5 months, like their situation was dramatically different than how it was just like the day before her diagnosis. And it really like shook me. I was like, man, if that could happen to her, I mean, that could be me,
Mhm.
And I just didn't. To this day, I don't think people understand, like in America, because we don't have socialized medicine. I mean, just yeah, you just not that we need socialized medicine, but just I mean, that's a feature of our system. Like it's kind of a, hey, you're responsible for yourself, and most of us just haven't considered those kind of contingencies. And so, I got real fired up about the product and about being able to help people. And so I signed up to go door to door selling insurance, and that's how we started our business. And
Mhm.
I mean, after a couple of years, of course, we got more sophisticated about how we were marketing it and everything. And since then, I've gone independent. We've got every product under the sun now. We work with multiple carriers in all 50 states. So
Mhm.
it's been a real journey, and one I'm super grateful of. But I just think back then, like um, I reflect often on just the accidents that kind of draw people into the line of work that they're currently in, and how some things that don't seem like they're um, you know, uh, welcome events at all actually end up being like life-changing events that put you in a much better place. And so it's been a fun journey.
Wow, that is like that's an incredible story. And it just shows like your heart in your business too and like how it's called you in. I think that's really powerful. It really is. And so, you started you started your business, you started the door to doors, you've been building now. And so now kind of like I'd love to dive into maybe what is something you faced in your journey. I know there's probably a lot of things. I ask business owners this question a lot, but what is like one challenge you faced or something you overcame in your journey that kind of brought insight or led you to a new place?
Well, gosh, there's so many. I mean, like, I think the biggest one is just, you know, uh, wanting to quit and wanting to
Mhm.
give up. And
Mhm. Mhm.
especially, I mean, not just that first year, but even, I mean, multiple times over the course of my career as we've done different changes, like I remember when the pandemic hit in 2020. I mean, I'd been doing this for, I mean, at that time, 17 years. And
Mhm.
it still was like, man, I just don't know if we're gonna be able to figure this one out. And I think that's one of the. I'm sure every business owner maybe has been there. I've
Mhm.
talked to all the business owners I know have been there at one point or another, but I mean, maybe there's somebody that hasn't. But um, I just for me the idea that, and I'm sure you guys talk a lot about this too in coaching programs, but just to take a minute, step back from the business, and really like imagine if you were like an alien that had transported in and and had taken over your business today. Like they, or maybe you sold the business to somebody else, and you're the guy that you sold it to, right? And this is your first
Mhm.
day taking over this mess of a business that the last idiot, he put it in this situation. And so now you're taking over, and today's day one. What are the things that you would do in this business? And immediately, like new avenues of opportunity or possibility open up, because you're not stuck thinking in the the cycles, or the predictable routines that you've been in for the last 6 months, 12 months, year, 6 years, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
To just stop and think, okay, well, if I was taking over this business for the first time today, what would I shut it down? Would I see different? What would I do with it? And that's been very useful to me over the years.
Oh, definitely. That's such great advice and something to really think about is like, what would I do with this? And like, I think that's really insightful for business owners who are listening to this too, and even myself. And kind of looking at your business structure now, as you're growing, as you're in this industry, what does your core team look like? Are you solopreneuring? Have you built out a team? What's that look like for you?
So, well, I've been very fortunate. This last year, I was able to partner with a group out of Dallas called Integrity Marketing, and they basically buy up insurance agencies, and then they allow us to basically have shared services among us. So
Mm.
used to, like at my peak of what I would call like employed service, yeah, I had a an admin, I had a personal. admin. I had a contracting person that would help my new agents get contracted. I
Mhm.
had a recruiting person that would help like identify new talent and do kind of screening interviews, right? So you had like different people that were in all these different functions, and an account and all this different stuff, right? But since I was able to partner with them, I've been able to kind of like outsource, I guess you would call it, um, a lot of those functions to them. And so
Mm.
that's been really nice. And I know companies like this exist in a lot of different fields. But I guess even before I partnered with them, I was able to find like uh, certain groups that I could outsource some of those things to rather
Mhm.
than ramp up my employed headcount. Like that was always something I was really um, careful about doing. Like I didn't want to have my fixed costs get to a place where um, I always want to make sure those were, manageable as a size of like the revenue that we were bringing in. Um, because profitability, I mean, that's like the number one rule of business, right? You got to stay
Mhm.
profitable, or what Warren Buffett says, number one rule of business is don't go out of business. Um,
Yes, that is a good
right?
yes, that is a Warren Buffett, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Don't go out of business. Rule number two, see rule number one, something like that, right? And so, yeah. So now, though, I have a contracting admin that helps me with that. I have no employees outside of that. Everything else that I do is now outsourced through some function that I pay for, but I don't necessarily have to employ. And then we have about, I don't know, 400 and some agents around the country that contract, through our agency. And but they're all independent, so I don't really have to man. They're not like employees or sales people that I have to manage or anything like that.
Mhm, mhm, or like the outsourcing and things like that. Well, that's really cool. Well, I like how you touched on a little bit of like the outsourcing you're doing, which kind of leads me into the marketing part of the podcast where we talk a little bit about that. And I love to hear what business owners are doing to find success in marketing because marketing is such a vast topic. So, what are some of the things you and your like the team you're working with doing to make the most out of your marketing?
Yeah. Well, so for us, I think of marketing like kind of in two prongs, right? So one prong is what you would think of as marketing to get customers. So I can talk about that in a minute. And then, but marketing number two in our business too is the marketing to build distribution. So, I still write insurance policies, but like I said, I've got about 400 agents that are out there that they are writing policies. And so I'm constantly looking to grow that group of, say, 400 into, 600 into 1,000 into whatever, right? And
Mhm,
so we do marketing on both sides. So one is to find agents who are maybe not necessarily as productive as they could be wherever they are. Either they are selling a lot, but they're not making a lot of money, or they're doing fine, but they don't have access to enough products. They would like to have, their clients are asking for products that they can't deliver on,
mhm,
or maybe they're working with just one or two carriers, and those carriers are very restrictive in terms of their underwriting. So like that, they may only want a particular profile of person, those insurance companies. And so, hey, if I can get you access to these other five or six carriers, that would
mhm.
help you get access to this market that you want to get into. Um, or maybe the agent. A lot of insurance agents, even to today, I was talking about with you earlier before we got on camera about how I started going literally door to door
Mhm,
selling insurance, right? A lot of agents are out there and that's literally what they're told. It's like, hey, pick up your cell phone and go through your contacts and make a list of 200 people, and we're going to call those people and then get referrals from those people, et cetera. And that's the way a lot of people start in the insurance. There's nothing wrong with that. But
mhm,
if I was opening a restaurant and, let's say you and I were opening up a restaurant, Kate, but we had an agreement with each other that we could only market it to people we already knew. Like only friends of your Aunt Susan could come. I mean, our restaurant
mhm,
probably wouldn't be open that long. And I think in the insurance business, that's especially true. And so a lot of the marketing that I do, like for myself, we extend those marketing um, mechanisms, campaigns, et cetera, to the agents that we bring on and work with as well. So I'll get a lot
mm,
of financial advisors, for example, who they may manage people's 401ks or help them grow their wealth, but insurance is a function of what they do, life insurance or disability or whatever. and they just have a hard time getting in front of new. How do I get in front of new people? I'm going to these chamber events. I'm going to these BNIs. I'm going to whatever networking functions. I'm meeting whoever I'm meeting. But if I could, you know, double that or triple that, or God forbid, 10x that, I mean, what would happen to my business, right? And so,
Yeah.
and we have different things that we're doing on the marketing side there that we can pass on to them. So that's on one side, building distribution. On the other side,
Mhm.
the actual marketing to find clients, which I do this, and then we share this with our agents that we work with, um, is basically along a couple different lines. So we're really big on direct response marketing.
Mm.
So, and I really strongly believe in this business. That's really where you want to start as an agent, as a producer, as a small agency, whatever the case may be. Whether you're working for yourself like I am, whether you're New York Life or Northwestern Mutual, whether you're even an Allstate or a maybe you have a State Farm agency or whatever. Direct
Mhm.
response marketing is like number one thing you should be doing, I think. And so we used to do a lot of direct mail, and we still
Mhm.
do direct mail. So like, one tactic, and we do it around like life events. So like, for example, somebody buys a new home, right? Somebody refinances a home. Well, that's an opportunity to put some life insurance on the house, to, have a conversation about the other things that are going on. People
Mhm.
get new jobs, people that, whatever the case may be, right? People have new babies.
Mhm.
These are all different opportunities to put, content from. People turn 65 years old, they need Medicare,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be, right? We used to do a lot of direct mail, and that still works. However, lately we're just getting a much higher, like, return on our ad spend by focusing on like internet marketing and like Facebook, Instagram. Um, we did a lot of Google ads. We still do some Google ads, but really like these Facebook campaigns and Instagram campaigns are really, really good for us.
Mhm.
And we can generate leads for, I mean, literally like, 5, 10, 15, $20 a lead, like very affordable. You imagine spending like $1,000 and having, a good, say 100 people to call that responded to your campaign. And the nice thing about an internet campaign is that if you do it properly, you put the good ad content out there that's clickable, people click. But then instead of maybe just immediately presenting them with some form like, okay, great, give me your information, so somebody can sell you something. Instead, we take them to a landing page, take them to what we call a funnel, right, where we're taking people to a landing page, some video content, some questions, some FAQs. Click here if you're this person, click here if you're that person, and really kind of narrow down the messaging based on the responses that somebody's giving us. So by the time they become a lead, they knew who we are, we know who they are, and maybe
Mhm.
there's even a calendar link at the end of that funnel to where they can self-schedule an appointment.
Mhm.
And then the follow-up leading up to that appointment, we're still qualifying them like, hey, we're looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow. In preparation, can you have this ready? Can you have that ready? So those are the things we're kind of doing there to make sure that, um, because it's always a balance, right? Of I,
Mm.
I want to I want to keep my friction low so that I'm getting a lot of leads, but at the same time, I want my friction high enough to where the leads that I'm getting are qualified leads. I know that I'm not wasting my
Mhm.
time. They know they're not wasting their time, and we're both excited to talk to each other.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. The qualified lead. That's like a really good term to use. I think that resonates with a lot of people. Kind of, we've talked a lot about your business. We've talked about what you're working on. What are some things you're thinking about for, say, the next 3 to 5 years with your business?
The big thing that we're working with right now is two things. One is the idea of helping the customer or the potential customer be even more self-sufficient. Like, um, not where we're trying to remove the agent from the process, but where the customer doesn't feel held hostage to the agent conversation so much, right? Like some people, everybody buys differently or wants to buy differently, right? Like my wife, for example, she goes to the store, she doesn't want to talk to anybody. She doesn't want anybody's, may I help you? No, go away, right? I'm just looking, right? And I
Yeah,
think a lot
yeah.
of us are programmed to say that, right? But some of us, like like I'm that way. I'm programmed to say no, just looking. But like me, in fact, just the other day, I walked into a store. I knew exactly what I needed to get. And this person came up, hey, can I help you? I'm like, no, no, I'm just looking. And then I was like, oh, wait, actually, I don't know why I said that. I'm looking for this. Can you help me find? And oh yeah, they walked me right over, and here it is, and here's our different choices, and asked me some questions on the way, and directed me. I was in and out of there real fast. I love that.
Hmm.
So but my wife doesn't want to deal with anybody, right? So and I think that's good. Everybody has a different style of how they want to buy and how they want to shop and how they want to learn about what their options are. And
Hmm.
so for the people that want to interact with an agent, high intensity, high touch, white glove service type people, like obviously we love those people.
Hmm.
That's who I've been selling to my entire life, right? But the people that maybe um, have a different style, how can I put more power, more control in that person's hands? So like now we have, like we just partnered with a company called Ethos, for example,
Hmm.
and they're a tech company out of California. So if you go to my website, for example, Hemati.com, and you go and get yourself a quote, there's a button that says quote, get a quote. It'll literally take you to this Ethos portal that we've built into the website, and you can literally find out exactly not only what coverages are available to you, what the prices are, but you can actually go through and apply for a policy in a very uh, friendly user, what do you call it, a UI, right, a user interface,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that it doesn't feel like you're filling out an insurance application. You're just answering questions, right? And
Yeah.
as you're going, and you can literally get a policy issued to you without ever even speaking to me at all,
Hmm.
or our agents. And we're doing the same thing on the Medicare side. So we have a site called planenroll.com,
Hmm.
where you can literally go there, a senior can go there, and if they want to do the entire thing on their own, like we will navigate them through the process and teach them what to do, right? So that those kind of things, those are new,
Hmm.
but they're getting, and right now, like the vast majority of people, they still want that high touch uh, engagement.
Hmm.
But for the people that don't or prefer to just kind of take care of things on their own, looking for tools and implementing tools to help them do that. So that's one thing. The second thing along the same lines is really trying to use artificial intelligence, AI, to build in to our sales process, our qualification process, our outreach process, where a person can interact, say in a chat environment, or
Hmm.
to figure out what we have and what they could qualify for. And also on the agent side, so we have this thing built where the agent can literally, let's say the agent is, they just finished meeting with somebody, and maybe now they're driving to their next appointment, and they can literally ask our AI bot, hey, tell me about my next appointment. And the AI bot very conversationally would be like, okay, well, your next appointment is with, you know, um, Mary Jacobson, and she lives at this address, and she's this old, and she already has this coverage, but she doesn't have that coverage, and she's really concerned about this, but not concerned about that. And the AI can do all this by looking through our customer database, and really just kind of honing down on what this person's interested in, and what their buying style is. So it's very, very cool. I'm really excited about what's coming.
Oh, definitely. I really love that you brought up AI because that's something I'm really geeky about as well. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
there's so much growth there. Yeah. I think, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
right.
But yeah, this has been such a great conversation. It's been fun to hear your story and kind of how you're pivoting and how you're growing. And now I'd like to get into our a fun question, the four fun questions called our rapid fire series to answer
Oh,
the
I'm
questions top of
excited.
mind.
Let's go.
Yes. All right. All right. Question number one is, what is the key to success for you?
Oh, really just a relentless focus on the customer. So like, what does that customer want? And
Mm.
so often, I mean, this is true in my business, but I'm sure it's true in many people's business. It's very easy to get to fall in love with your own stuff, you know.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
like, like I have insurance agents who, like, just philosophically, right? They
Hmm.
love term insurance. They're like, hey, buy term and invest the difference, for example. That's a wealth growth philosophy, um,
Hmm.
which may
Hmm.
be good for some people. It may not be a good fit for other people. Everybody's situation is different, but they fall so in love with it, and they're out there evangelizing people about this is the right way to do things, right?
Hmm.
Whereas that just may not be true for every single person. And on the flip side, you have people that are, oh no, you have to build cash value, and you have to do this and that and the other. And they just fall so in love with their product, and they forget to really meet the customer where they are, and solve whatever problems that the customer actually has first before they start, extolling the virtues of whatever, they're excited about in their portfolio that day. So, and then also with the agents too. So it's real easy for me to get excited about like, oh my God, we have AI, we have these marketing tech. You should come and partner with us because we're rather than just listening to what the agent scenario is and what they're trying to maybe what they need is just a good mentorship and like a quality relationship with the people that they're working with that they may not
Mhm.
have or just that need for recognition or a visibility or personal growth, which
Mhm.
right. So just always remembering to like it's not about me, it's about the big picture in life is not a self-portrait. It's what can I do for you.
Oh, definitely. That's great. That's great thoughts. And yeah, my second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
um get excited about change.
Mm,
I think right now, uh more than any other time I've ever been in business,
mhm,
there's more upheaval, there's more uncertainty, there's more chaos. And just remember what the Chinese say, in chaos, there is opportunity. I mean, this is, if I could, I was actually talking to somebody just the other day about my business specifically, and they were like, well, I wish I could have, you've been doing this 21 years. If I could have gotten in when you did, like but now it's too late for me. I missed it. And I'm like, dude, you
mhm.
haven't missed anything. If I could rewind and be 27 again today, uh, even I would be willing to forget everything I've learned, just be 27 again right now and relearn whatever lessons there are to learn because it is so exciting right now. Like volatility creates opportunity. I mean, any
Mhm.
day trader will tell you that. And so
Right.
get excited about it, and choose the chaos, right? Like don't I find myself sometimes wishing that things were steadier, wishing that things were calmer, wishing that things were slower. I'm like, oh, I remember when things were easier than this.
Mhm.
And don't want what you don't want, right? Like realize like this climate actually creates ridiculous opportunity, and we're in the middle of like a huge transfer of wealth that's about to happen right now. I mean, it's already started and it's going to continue happening for the next 15, 20 years.
Yes.
And it's exciting, so just embrace the
Mhm.
chaos.
I'm writing that down. And your third question is, what is a book or piece of content, anything that you've taken in most recently?
Mm. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. So there's a book actually. Hold on, let me get it. This is it's a shameless plug for a buddy of mine. So John Wetmore, who's a friend of mine, he just wrote this. He's also an integrity partner, and he wrote this book, "Do More Now, Get Better Later." And yeah, do more now, get better later. And you can
Yeah.
get this on Amazon. And John, you're welcome wherever you are if you're
That
listening to
looks like
this.
a great I'm gonna put that on my list.
It's terrific. First of all, John has had a very colorful life. I'll just put it that way. He has done a lot of things wrong in his career and is completely transparent and open about. So I've heard a lot of this. I've known him for a few years now. So I've heard a lot of these
Mhm.
stories in private. And I just, as I was reading, I was just shocked. I'm like, oh my, I can't believe you put this in writing. Uh, so it is a very entertaining read. You will absolutely love it. It's a page turner, which is very rare. I think a lot of business books I read, it's like, I'm really glad I read that. I came away with some very actionable ideas, but I don't know that I was entertained. This book will entertain you. It's fun, it's exciting, but it is very actionable in the sense that like, um, what like, it was just inescapable. Like when I put the book down, it was like, I need to amp up my activity. And it's like I think a
Mhm.
lot of times, me personally, I want to do things right. I want to do things correctly. I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to make mistakes, but I mean, who likes making mistakes, right? It's like I need to do more research on that, and then I'll take action
Mhm.
on it. And whereas his contention in this book is, listen, if you know the right direction to take, and you kind of I mean, you have a good idea of like, here's where I want to go, and I know these are the actions taken to get there, then just pour your heart into doing as many of those activities as possible because you will get better over time doing them. It's not like playing the piano or something where it's like, oh, you got some weird thing with crossing your fingers there, and now you can't play your scales properly forever because you have this habit you need to unlearn. It's not like that in business. Like you can literally try this. If it doesn't work, iterate, right? But
Yeah.
you can't steer a parked car. So like get in action and take massive action and iterate while you're taking the action.
Ah, so good. That's so good. So true. And our final question for this group of questions is, if you could wave a magic wand and rapidly overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That'd be great. I think the biggest thing for me is the I wish I could have a magic wand because I don't have one, but it would be great to have one to do this. We work in our situation, we work with a lot of carriers. So, like, the way that translates to you is like if I sit down and meet with you and you say, hey, I want some, let's say I want some life insurance. Okay, well, I'm going to take some specs from you. And I'm going to take it out. I'm going to shop you around all these different carriers. Well, every
Mhm.
single one of those carriers, and I think the way this would translate to the people in your audience are, you probably have a bunch of different distribution partners, people that sell you stuff, and then you turn
Mhm.
around and then sell whatever you sell.
Mhm.
They have processes that I just think, I mean, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I love your product, I love your brand, and I love how you deliver for the client, and I hate everything about the processes I have to go through to do business with you, right? Like maybe
Mhm.
it's archaic or it's this or that or the other, or they have some hoops to jump through that I wish I didn't have to jump through necessarily. Like, well, hey, this carrier doesn't make me do any of that. Why are you asking for all this? So I would love some standardization,
Mhm.
but on the flip side, it's kind of funny you're asking that question. That's the number one challenge that I'm dealing with all the time. So that's why it's kind of like in my face. But on the flip
Mhm.
side, like the fact that there are all these problems are what gives me raises the barrier to entry to people who want to compete with us, right? So like
Mhm.
nobody else wants to deal with these problems. So like the fact that I'm here dealing with them is actually what makes what I have to offer valuable. So I don't know that I would necessarily change it now that I'm thinking about it, but that's the one thing that drives me nuts. I think maybe this is a really good point. It's like sometimes the things that drive you nuts in the business are exactly the reasons that you are in business to begin with. So don't want
100%.
what you don't want.
100%. I can agree with you there. Oh, this has been such a fun conversation. Before we get to our final question for today, how can people find you?
Yeah, well, so I'm everywhere. So my last name is Hemati, Hemati. So you can go to Hemati.com. My first name's Eric, Eric. So I'm on Instagram, Eric.Hemati. I'm on Facebook, Eric.Hemati. Twitter, Eric Hemati without the dot for some reason. Uh, you try to synchronize all these things up, but those are the biggest ways to find me. So that's usually where I'm at.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Eric. For our final question of today, what is most inspiring to you today?
Um, well, actually, and I told you right before we talked, my grandmother's in the hospital right now, and she broke her femur. She's
Mhm.
92 years old, broke her femur. And so, she had surgery a couple of days ago. I'm about to go visit her as soon as we get off this podcast. But, we had a chance to visit, you know, before her surgery, we were talking and just, she was just reminiscing about her life and the different experiences she's had and how, when she was young, she poured her heart into everyone, and now that she's older, everyone is pouring into her. And he felt almost like, uh, I don't know whether it was pride or what it was, but it was almost like maybe she was so used to being the person that did for everyone else, and now everyone's having to do for her, and it felt like a burden and all these different things, right? All of which I'm sure is totally understandable, but just kind of it made me so aware of just the fragility of life and how much
Mhm.
of a privilege it is to have people in your life that love you and that care about you, and um, you know, just take your time to like tell the people that you love them today because you never know. It's one of those things. I mean, you just never know. And so This might be the last chance you get to talk to this client, and that's be the last chance you get to talk to this, to your child, to your spouse. You just never know. And so just whatever needs to be said, like make sure you say it every day. And and I think when you live that way, you definitely have fewer regrets at the end.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And like my heart goes out to you right now. And just thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing about your business and your life. It's been an absolute joy to have this conversation.
I had a lot of fun. Thanks. I really appreciate it.